1 year ago, I bought the cheapest jet ski I could possibly find. This 1998 Polaris SLH. Today, we're gonna get this thing running and back in the water. Now this is a little bit outside of the wheelhouse of what I normally work on, but we're headed to a lake house in a couple weeks and this has to be done. Now there's a lot of reasonable questions you probably have right about now. Connor, why did you get a jet ski? You know nothing about jet skis. They're a pain to work on. This one's 27 years old. The opportunity struck, and it was just too good to be true. We have a fuel leak, snipped wires that go to nowhere, this beautiful seat, we've got a cracked jet pump housing, that right there is a broken bolt. Believe it or not, at one point in time I actually had this thing functional. But it has since developed some issues that have kind of snowballed and led us to where we are now. I think we're gonna save that bolt for future Connor and instead opt to fix some of the wiring right now. Then we can just work our way front to back, and by the end of it we should have a brand new jet ski. Not a chance. This was probably the most spontaneous purchase that I've ever made, which if you know me, it's kind of saying a lot. I bought this at a family vacation in South Carolina, looking at jet ski rental prices and saying, hey, I bet I could find one cheaper to buy. Well, I did. I'm gonna be using these heat shrink solder connectors. These things are magnificent. If you haven't used them, you really should. You just slide them on the end of the wire. You take the wire that you're trying to pair it to, you kind of tie the ends together, kind of sort of like this. You slide the connector over top, then we'll take our heat gun and we'll start to heat this up, just trying to melt that solder on the inside. So this is what it looks like once it's all done. These little red tabs here are like what grips onto the wire and holds the insulation, and that gives you a strong connection there. So that is finished. Yikes. These are the wires that go to the fuel pump, and they have these weird little, I guess they're not weird, they're kind of common, but I'm worried that they'll like slip off, and one has like insulation going over half the contact points. So we're just gonna redo that. You're out of there. Okay. Oh shoot, now I don't know which is which. Oh, why did I do that? So I figured out which is which. I had to take all of the wiring out to do that. These were wired directly to the battery. I don't know if that's the way that they are supposed to be, but that's the way they're gonna be. Okay, that should be it for electrical. I do remember some fuel leaking out of the fuel filter, but I remember not being able to find a gasket for it. I'll take it off and then I'll figure out what I need. So, as the story went on from earlier, I bought this thing in South Carolina, but on the drive home, we actually blew out a wheel bearing on the trailer. I sat in the Home Depot parking lot for probably 5 or 6 hours trying to get the bearing and the race off. There was a lot of times that I thought, well, we should probably just leave this thing here. But unfortunately, I didn't leave it there, and now I have it. So this is the culprit. We need to find a gasket for this. Something that sits up inside of there. Well, I took a run down to Ace, and this was the closest thing out of all of those in there. This one probably fits the best. It sits on there pretty good, and it take it off there and put it in here. It sits in there pretty good. So really, I don't think this should leak anymore. When I tighten it up, it feels like it's compressing. I think that's gonna work. Well, let me tell you, I'm pretty relieved to have found that gasket. Now this thing just kind of sat up in here, like so. And this fuel pump, what do I do with you? Can I just like zip tie it to something? You know what? I bet I could. I could probably zip tie it way up here. So I ended up just attaching that fuel pump right onto this hose here. This is the filler neck for the 2-stroke oil, but I'm gonna pre-mix everything, so I won't use this really. It's held in there pretty solid. I think that's a lot better than it just floating around. I also tied up these wires here, and I hooked the lines back onto our fuel filter back there. It's kind of hard to see, they're way back there. And now I think it's time we finally deal with that broken bolt. It's not gonna be fun. This is one of 4 stainless steel bolts that hold the rear jet pump housing on. Because we still have a little bit of threads showing on there, the first thing I'm going to try is putting 2 nuts on there and backing one off. Ooh, that's not good. That's really not good. That doesn't want to budge, does it? This thing's really stuck. I think the next phase is to weld a nut on there. Let's give that a whirl. Oh, that's... Is it moving? No! Well, let's try that again. Well, I'm going to try to work it while it's warm. Ooh, that's the strategy. Oh. I don't even know. I don't know what to do here. I'm lost. Maybe if I just scare it a little bit. I'm going to try out this mini ductor. I'm going to try and heat up the aluminum and not so much the bolt. I don't really know how I can do that with this, but... And it's going, and it's going. Get this out. Come on now. Oh, I think the nut broke. Yep. Well, I think now we've reached the inevitable point. We got to torch it. I'm going to try and just heat up the aluminum part, and hopefully that expands. Trying to not keep the heat focused in one area. Let's try that. Come on now. Alright, let me try and heat it up some more. Just don't want to heat up the fiberglass too much. This isn't looking good, guys. I've got one last thing in my bags of tricks that I can try. The nuts that I've been welding on have been just made out of zinc-plated steel. I'm going to try a stainless steel nut this time, since this is a stainless steel bolt. I'm going to TIG weld it on there. Come on, baby! Ooh, I think that's pretty good. Come on. Come on. Just come out. I know you want to come out. See, it's coming out just a hair. Just a hair. A little bit at a time. Inch it out. Come on, baby. No way. I just don't believe it. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Yes! We did it! Woo! We're in business, baby. Well, guys, that there was nothing short of a miracle. So what's your favorite way to get a broken bolt out? Let me know down below. Now we can assemble the rest of this. The trim motor we're gonna have to figure out because that doesn't work and the bracketry that goes to it is gone. I don't know where that is. The trim motor is what moves this up and down so you can adjust. I don't really know what it affects, but it's basically if you want your jet pointed down or if you want it pointed up. But that linkage is broken, so I'm gonna have to try and MacGyver something in there. I'm gonna throw some Loctite on these bolts just to keep them from getting stuck in there for the next guy. Who am I kidding? It'll probably be me. So as I'm piecing this together, I'm noticing a couple things. This was the old piece that was attached to that cracked housing, and it's got this curved bolt. You see that? But since it's curved, I can't take it out and put it on our new one here. That curved bolt is supposed to connect onto this and then go up underneath through that hole. And that's what makes it turn. My options with this are, I could maybe ground the head of the bolt off and put a nut on top. I could try and replace this onto here, but I think I'm just gonna cut the bolt. This right here was the solution I came up to. And I put a nut here. That's a lock washer, so that should hold it on. I'll probably take this off and put some thread locker on it too. And then this nut is tightened up onto this nut to here, and this connects it all. And that's what makes it steer. That's left, and that's right. We're gonna leave that linkage for the trim motor right now because I'm anxious to see what this is gonna do when we throw a battery in it. Well, we got a freshly charged battery. Now, as I said before, I did have this running last year, so I'm hoping that it should just bark right off for us. I think just about everything I know that's been bad I've fixed here today, so this should be it.
Wrong.
All right, the moment is here. We have finally made it. Let's check the fuel pump first. Well, that sounds good. That sounds promising. Bilge pump. It's working. Well, here it goes. Things just got a lot more interesting. To me, it sounds like the starter's trying to engage, but it's just not able to, so I'm gonna pop these spark plugs off. Now I'm wondering if I can put this guy down in the cylinder and be very graceful about it. I'm trying to check and see if this thing rotates. Make sure that it hasn't seized in the last year, which would just be unbelievable. But you never know. This is also not the way that you should do this. Oh, it moved. There it is. Well, it's free. That's definitely not the issue, so that means we have a starter problem somewheres. That's really good news. That could have been catastrophic. So now that we're sure the motor's not locked up, I'm gonna pull out the electrical box and see if we have any blown fuses, and then we can see from there. So now is probably the time to mention that when I had this at the lake house in South Carolina, we didn't catch a spot where water was leaking into. We woke up the next morning and, you know, water was all the way up to almost the top of the carburetor. You really don't want that. After that, the jet ski really never ran right until the last day of our trip, and so we actually got to use it for a grand total of 2 days. Well, let me show you guys what's going on in here. So this is the electrical box. That right down there, I think that is the starter solenoid, because this wire here is coming from the battery. That goes into here, and I think this wire goes all the way out and hitches up with the starter back there. Some good news, our fuses are good, which, I mean, there's only 2, so I'd hope so. This really is the fun part. I'm gonna tool around with this for a little bit and see if I can't figure it out. I've had some time to look this thing over, and there's a few things that I've discovered. If you look at the display while I'm starting it, you can see it drawing power there. And also, one other thing I found out is the starter sits all the way down inside there. So I gave her the old bang on the starter with the hammer trick, and that got the thing to actually turn, but it was very weak, and I wasn't able to get it to turn after that. That basically means that we need a whole new starter motor. So now, because I had to wait for these parts to arrive, I am looking at only 2 days to get this thing finished. Let's go tear this thing apart. All right, guys, just gonna give you a quick little update here. To get to the starter, you actually have to take off the top of this exhaust because it loops back down and around, down to there. These 4 bolts on top, 1 down there, a couple hoses, there's a hose there, and there is the starter. Right here is a 10mm bolt that we gotta take off, and there's 1 right below that. And then this thing should just slide right out. Yes! Woo! We did it! I feel like I'm saying that a lot this video. Man, we are really cutting it close on time. Tomorrow, my plan is to rebuild the carburetor, grease up the trailer bearings, get the trailer lights to work, and then we'll hit the road. Well, last night, I was able to get the old starter out, and the new starter, which looks almost identical. We're gonna throw this guy in there, put everything back together, and then finally, we'll get to see this thing turn over. It's all kind of hitting me now that I've got to get this thing ready in less than 12 hours, and I haven't even seen it run. No, well. I just got to put this last hose on, and that should be about it. That looks good. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sure. If this doesn't do anything, then we're going to be really concerned. Yes! We're not looking to run this for very long because it needs the water to cool the engine down, but I just want to hear this thing fire. Well, that's good. It means we have spark. Oh! Well, that just sounded awful. This is exciting. This is exciting stuff here. This is a step in the right direction. A very significant step, I will say. Oh, hold on. We might have just been leaking gas. Well, down there, it is all sorts of wet. Fuel's leaking out of somewhere. It could be leaking out of these seals on the carburetor down here. Well, guys, I've made the executive decision. We're going to rebuild this carb. Do I need to? Probably not, but some of the gaskets on here, like this thing is just falling apart. It'd give me a little bit more peace of mind while I'm on this trip. Well, guys, I found something interesting after taking these covers off. That screw right there was just loose in there. It's actually supposed to be inside that little hole there, like the other side. So that definitely could have been causing some sort of issue. Well, guys, we got bad news. So I rebuilt the carburetor, I threw that on there, I replaced a lot of the fuel lines, all to not be able to get this thing to start again. I don't know where I went wrong. I'm probably gonna have to take the carburetor apart. But what I do know is that it's not coming on this trip with us. So I'll be working on it again once I get back home. Until then. Well, guys, I have finally found some time to figure out what exactly went wrong here. I bought a really cheap rebuild kit. Maybe that was the issue. I don't know. I couldn't see that being the problem. But you never know. What's weird is I was able to get it running before, but the second I rebuilt the carburetor, now it decides it doesn't want to work. That seal looks fine. Well, that certainly could be the issue. Whoever was in here didn't put this gasket on right. I mean, that should be lined up with this, and clearly it's not. I wonder how I screwed that one up. Well, I'll put that back on the right way, and we'll see what that does. So, guys, that gasket being a little off kilter there was the only thing that I could really find that was wrong with it. Everything else looked as it should be. So maybe that's what caused it. I'm not really sure. We're going to find out now, though. Now, earlier I mentioned I did change the fuel lines because in these particular jet skis, the fuel lines that they used had a tendency to gum up just because of the material that they used. So I just put regular rubber fuel hose in there. Not that I think it's really what's causing our issue, but for the next guy down the road, try and start it now, see what happens. Come on, baby! So I went ahead and threw a spark plug tester on here just to make sure that we didn't lose spark. That doesn't look right. Well, it seemed like the battery was starting to get a little dead on me, so I took it back off and I charged it up. I don't know, maybe for some reason that there's an issue there. I highly doubt it. Well, we got it to fire back off again, which again leads us to believe that it's a fuel issue. Something with the carburetor, obviously. I just can't see what I keep doing wrong. Guys, I have a bit of an embarrassing confession I need to make. I've had the fuel lines hooked up wrong this whole time. I don't know how I managed to do that. What I think happened is when I was replacing the lines, I didn't mark which ones went where. I thought I could just go off of memory, but clearly that didn't work out. So now, when I turn this thing on, still have some fine tuning to do. This place is all smoked out. But for now, we can turn our attention towards this seat. And I think I have just the thing. In a perfect world, I'd be able to put a new seat on here and call it a day, but unfortunately, a new seat for this is about what this whole jet ski's worth, so I don't think that's going to happen. Right now, I'm cutting off the extra pieces of foam so that way our duct tape has something to stick onto. Now, I'm certainly not putting any upholstery shops out of business, but I think for what this thing is, I think it'll do us just fine. To the water! Guys, the time has finally come. We are gonna take this thing on the water. Made some noises. Oh, come on now. How come I got it started at home? The minute I take it out, that is not good. Why is it doing that? That's not good. Let's keep trying. That new starter is really putting in the work. Come on! Seriously? Guys, I can't figure it out. I've put way too much time and way too much money into this thing to keep trying. Not every story has a happy ending, and this story is that case. I don't know where I went wrong. If you guys have any ideas as to what's wrong with this thing, please let me know down in the comments. I'm all ears. This one has really demoralized me. Adios.